Hello and welcome to this second presentation on AC 3.2. The assessment component is asking us to describe the contributions of agencies to achieving social control. In my previous one I looked at environmental tactics. In this one we're going to look at behavioural tactics. So behavioural tactics are the ways in which agencies of social control try to change or seek to change individuals' behaviour, trying to make them conform to social norms and of course the laws. Now in this presentation we're going to look at two examples of behavioural tactics. We're going to look at ASBOs, which have now been replaced by CBOs, criminal behaviour orders, so ASBOs are criminal behaviour orders, and we're going to look at token economies. Now starting with ASBOs, antisocial behaviour orders, these were civil orders made against someone who has engaged in antisocial behaviour in the UK. Now, because it's a civil order, the ASBO didn't give you a criminal record. However, if you breached your ASBO, that was a criminal offence and that carried a maximum sentence of 5 years imprisonment if you breached an ASBO. They were introduced by the Labour Party under Tony Blair in 1998. And the intention was to give the government, the state, a way to prevent and control low-level behaviour that would not normally warrant a criminal prosecution, but that nevertheless brought fear and misery to those people who had to live amongst it. This link takes you to a news article that talks about ASBOs in general, so have a look at that. Now, ASBOs weren't without controversy. Many critics suggested that actually they became desirable to certain people as like a badge of office to be respected amongst peers. And if you take a link to that newspaper article, it makes just that argument. So you can have a look at that at your leisure. In the UK, an ASBO could be issued in response to, and this was the direct quote from the legislation, conduct which caused or was likely to cause harm, harassment, alarm or distress to one or more persons not of the same household as him or herself, and where an ASBO is seen as necessary to protect relevant persons from further antisocial acts by the defendant. Now I shall look at specific examples of antisocial behaviour in a minute. You need to know also that in England and Wales ASBOs were issued by magistrates' courts, but again they were civil, not criminal. And again, you can have a look at this YouTube clip, which is young people talking about ASBOs and what led them into it. I commend that to you. Have a look at it. Okay, so antisocial behaviour can include a range of problems. So some of these might incur criminal charges, others may not. But noise pollution, so playing music persistently too loud, persistently making other loud or intrusive noises, could be considered antisocial. Drunkenness, abandoned, burned out cars, joyriding, stealing, mugging, shoplifting, begging, vandalism, graffiti, criminal damage to property, loitering, which just means hanging around in a certain area, dropping litter, fly tipping, dog fouling, drug dealing and taking, intimidation and bullying, and spitting are all examples of antisocial behaviour that, if persistently done, could end up with an ASBO. Here's an example of an ASBO here. It's an Alamo stock image, so it's under copyright, but this man here, Chris Walker from Southsea, he's got an ASBO prohibiting him from entering any car park on Portsea Island. So I don't know exactly what he did, but you can assume it's either trying to petty theft from cars or damage or whatever. So there's an example of an ASBO for you. Now when we come to the Criminal Behaviour Order, the CBO, they were introduced by the Antisocial Behaviour, Crime and Policing Act of 2014, and they replaced the former powers of the courts to make orders such as an ASBO. So ASBOs disappeared in 2014 and were replaced by the CBO, partly because they'd become this badge of office. Many people thought they weren't working. So a CBO is an order designed to tackle the most serious and persistent antisocial individuals where their behaviours brought them before a criminal court, so slightly different to the ASBO. A CBO can deal with a wide range of antisocial behaviour following the offender's conviction. So, for example, threatening violence against others in the community, persistently being drunk and aggressive in public. But they're not designed to stop reasonable, trivial or benign behaviours that have not caused or not likely to cause antisocial behaviour. So they're much more strict. So here we can see an example of a CBO. This lad has got one. Part of it is Ilkley, which is Yorkshire. He's not allowed to enter Ilkley town centre from all these areas, Denton Road, Middleton Avenue, etc. in this map. So he's got a little map here, unless he's with the youth offending team by prior appointment. So that's basically a criminal behaviour order that bans him from that entire area of Ilkley town centre. So there's your example of a criminal behaviour order. Now, a CBO, as I said, deals with these serious antisocial individuals who cause harassment, alarm or distress to others. It lasts at least 2 years for adults and 1 to 2 years for under 18s. And if you breach a CBO, it can mean up to 5 years in prison if you're an adult or 2 years detention for under 18s. But unlike an ASBO, a CBO can require a person to do something positive to improve their behaviour. So, for example, where someone's committed a drug-related offence, the CBO can require them to join a drug treatment programme to address their addiction. And if you look at the example of this CBO, again another one from Yorkshire, here we've got he's not allowed to enter Dewsbury town centre. There's a little map of where he's not allowed to be, but notice he's been given planned appointments at Chart Drug and Alcohol Treatment Service. So part of his CBO is receiving treatment for whatever addictions that he has, and as you can see, that expires over 5 years. And so yeah, he got it last year and it expires in 26. So another example of a CBO there for you. Hopefully that all makes sense. So that then leads us on to our second example of behavioural tactics, which is token economies. And as we saw in Unit 2, and we did these for individualistic theories and their effect on policy making, a token economy is a behaviour modification programme used by some prisons or young offenders institutes and sometimes psychiatric hospitals, and it's aiming to achieve social control by reshaping inmates' behaviour patterns so they conform to what the institution requires. They toe the line and obey the laws. They're based on B.F. Skinner's operant learning theory. There he is, also known as behaviourism. And the basic idea of the theory is that if a particular behaviour results in a reward of some kind, people are likely to repeat it. The reward acts as a reinforcement of the behaviour. Now, you can get a detailed description of the Hobbs and Holt experiment at the Alabama Correctional Facilities in the Unit 2 PowerPoint AC 4.1, Assess the Use of Individualistic Theories in Informing Policy Development, updated 2022. So I'm not going to go through it in detail in this because it's in the other PowerPoint, which you can access on my YouTube channel. So go and have a look at that if you want a detailed idea of the experiment with token economies. So I much will crystallise this in terms of what we need for Unit 4. So a token economy is aiming to achieve social control in the following way. The institution draws up a list of desirable behaviours, which could be such things as obey the rules, interact positively with staff and other inmates, stay drug-free, engage in a purposeful activity, i.e., attend vocational training or anger management courses or whatever. And then when the prisoner behaves in the desired way, they earn a token. For example, each time a drug test shows they're clean, they receive 1 token. So the prisoner builds up the tokens, which can then be exchanged for rewards. So that could be extra phone calls, tobacco, sweets, being allowed to have a TV in their cell, spend more of the money they've earned, whatever. So through this selective reinforcement, the behaviour that the institution desires becomes more likely and the undesirable behaviour less likely. That's the thinking behind token economies. You're adapting behaviour, or your behaviour, modifying behaviour. It's behavioural modification. Now, in the UK, the rewards can be in the form of the Incentives and Earned Privileges Scheme, IEPs. So token economies are much more with the US. We use IEPs in our prison system. So we have 3 levels of IEP: basic, standard and enhanced. Basic, prisoners move to this level for refusing to obey rules. So that will mean you lose privileges, which means you might not get a TV in your cell, or your meals have to be eaten in your cell. Standard is where all prisoners begin. So you start on standard, you can either go up or you can go down depending on how you behave. So standard privileges might be being able to spend more of the money they earn each week, for instance. Enhanced is for prisoners who consistently obey the rules, and that might include TVs, more visits, more gym time. And here actually is a little poster that an enhanced prisoner put together about what you can do on the enhanced scheme, and it will differ from prison to prison, but you can see here book club run weekly through the library and the education department, 3 extra gym sessions per month, 3 other extra visits a month and a family day, DVD evenings, extra walking club, extra spends, extra library sessions, super enhanced wings, inter-wing gaming events, etc. So as I said, it will differ from prison to prison, but that's an example of the sort of privileges you could get on enhanced in our prison system. It's a form of token economy, for want of a better word. And then finally, how effective are they? Well, some studies have shown that the token economies work while the inmates are in the institution, so they're effective within the institution. Hobbs and Holt's study of the 125 boys aged 12 to 15 in Alabama found that the change lasted throughout the 14-month study, so it was effective. However, other studies have found that when the offender leaves prison and those reinforcements stopped, what happens is the desired behaviours disappear. But the offenders seem to return to crime more slowly compared to those who've not undergone the programme, so it does have some advantages. And token economies programmes do make prisoners more manageable while in prison. However, there's a risk their behaviour is being modified to suit the institution, in other words, to give the staff a quiet life, rather than to meet prisoners' rehabilitation needs for when they're released, and that is an issue. And then finally, well, it may be that the programmes work simply because of the extra attention prisoners received as a result, or even just that the rules are being spelled out more clearly to them, and not because of the tokens. But I'll let you consider that in your own time. So that concludes this quite brief PowerPoint. There'll be another couple on this AC, and I'll see you soon for those. Take care.